Great event.
You did very well at it, spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did. That was great. I think I did much better than, I usually don't last super long in like the fandom free-for-alls. I last a few rounds and like here or there. And then, but I kind of, just got on a roll and I got some good swings my way, cleared the table obviously in that moment, which was great. Thank you, Kaiser. I always think clearing the table moments are always funny because sure, there's a lot of emphasis on me, but usually it's always like, but it takes always like the other person as well to like get that right to like do that. So I always think like the second person who causes it is like deserves more recognition because Kaiser getting that is like great. That's what cleared the way for me.
You and Kaiser got the question and everyone else missed, right?
Yes.
And we went to Kaiser last and when he got it too, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Did you know what was happening? Like,
no,
did you know that like when Kaiser hit it, like that meant that it was clearing the table, or did you not know until we yelled it?
Because I didn't know I was correct. Because to be honest, my first thought was John Saxton. I was literally like, it's in the like when he says like the eye of God, like I can kind of see that in the at the funeral scene and like and it's like something that's like more John Saxon says than what Robert Englund is saying on the phone. But I could not remember John Saxon's name, and I was just like, okay, so if I'm not going to get that, let's be. I don't. Right? She also talks to Robert Englund. I was like, the phrasing of the question. I'm like, maybe this is a little tricky. Maybe this is a little fun. So I put Robert Englund. So I didn't know I was correct, which is why I didn't know what was happening.
Jacoby, you are now did you ever think, because fandom, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, has ever been like your main focus, so to speak. But you're now a former champion. Did you ever think that was a possibility, or were you kind of always just like, I'll see who I play, and eventually I'll play Brittany or Joe and lose, but like.
No, yeah, and I never thought I would be a fandom champion, to be honest with you. I know what level of player that I am personally in terms of like what I can get and like the heights that I can reach, to. I can put a lot of studying in, again, like 2-3 years ago is like when I like really dove in, made my study sheet with all the categories and all the notes, which I still glance at from like time to time to prep, but like that era specifically, like even then I was like, I can't, like if I get to one of the top dogs, like you two, like during that tear of like, no, like, right.
That's what, during that time, me and Tim were the only ones you lost.
Yeah.
You remember that, Tim?
What match would that have been?
Jacoby played you twice and me twice, but everyone else he beat and like knocked out some of them as well.
Yeah. I was my brain was in teams mode because he former teams champion. I guess that's true. Yeah, that's crazy.
I did a very nice run of sort of things. Then I hit the buzzsaws of like you guys. And I think if I remember, Nick, I was not even close in your match, but I think Tim and I was
about to say I think we were
pretty
close in both. Yeah, I think
the first one we played, one of the two, it was close, and I remember. Because I spun Jurassic Park, and I had seen all the Jurassic. You were like, that was your thing, was you were the Jurassic Park guy.
Yeah.
And I just like, quite frankly, Coho was writing questions at that time, and I got asked the names of velociraptors. And
that is right. There was a moment where it's like you spun the category. That was just like, I have a shot here, and then I was like, you didn't run away with it as I thought you were going.
I specifically remember being asked like, which velociraptor gets blown up by an RPG?
I'm gonna look now,
and I was like, the Echo Charlie Delta. It's not like they say, "Hey, Echo, I'm shooting a rocket at you right now."
Yeah, no.
Hey, I was being asked to discern which velociraptor was standing there. But outside of that, it was also like close in round one. It went pretty far in round three. Like it was definitely close.
But I'm looking at this now. You beat Butler. You beat Rizzy.
I was on a great run on that time for things that really surprised me. I was a great
and since then, outside of teams, you've been in singles contender matches. The season's about to start up. You're in the first title picture. Which is a very small amount of people. So like it could be like you and Rue just won your last teams match as well against former champions. So like you're one of the boldest players, and I still have the mug that says fortune favors the bold on it.
I smile every time you take a sip out of it, or at least when I'm watching old matches or
And I think you play off a lot of your success as luck, or like I'm just like I didn't remember John Saxon, so I threw another name down and have it be right. But I think there's more just general knowledge behind it than just luck.
You're right. I'm done with that era of myself, which I think probably a lot of us sort of go through in terms of just like, man, I'm a completely lucky player, right? Like that's the only reason I'm doing it. I know,
Right.
like, yes, to beat the higher, I always count myself as like a really one of the best B players is like what I always consider myself as, like in terms of like what I can be. So I know I always have the realm to grow or shrink, or I think you said it, or made like, I could at one beat really good people, lose to like really bad people. Like,
Sure.
It could go either way there. But like, I know I have a good base level, but like, some things have to be lucky in terms of spins or in terms of like, I just have to go for it. And that sort of, I just have to go for it attitude tends to work out for me more than not, which is what I would have it really weirdly if I like, fortune favors the bold. And then it never works out.
That moment is really a lot different if it doesn't work out.
No, I did try something else,
I did find the match. It was round 2 of the tournament in 2020. Nick,
you've been doing this for a while.
Nick, you were the 4 seed. Jacoby, you were the 5 seed. It does say it was the second time you guys played, but I can't.
It was,
but I can't find.
We played earlier that year. I remember because we were both undefeated.
Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah. So the first time, Nick, you beat Jacoby 17-11.
This was also in a time where the betting round kept going.
Yeah. Nick, you.
I think I did that point. I remember there was like, why are we still?
We were like, all right, 2 points on a movie I've never seen, and
but Nick, you only had 63% accuracy in that match, and then when you guys played the second time, Nick, you beat Jacoby 18-16.
I remember that.
But here's the thing that speaks to Jacoby's the power. Is Nick, your accuracy was 85%. So marked improvement from your first time.
Yes.
Jacoby's was also an improvement, but Jacoby went from 40% to 60% and still took it.
You can literally, Jacoby literally is on the end of one version of Nick and the beginning of another, because what kicked my ass into gear as far as fandom goes, I had wanted to play in the Schmodown before, that was my reason for doing the trivia thing. So I was really good at geek categories, but if I spun Jurassic Park or something like that, I was shit out of luck. Then I beat Jacoby, then I lost to Scully. And then when I lost to Scully, I was like, nope, I'm watching every DreamWorks movie. I'm watching every Pixar Disney movie. And then I played Jacoby almost immediately after.
Wow. That's so funny because that switch in terms of what you focus on, because immediately for those fandom categories, I knew that I always wanted to be a player to I'm not gonna get those core ones. I'm gonna suck at a lot of things in those Star Wars and Lord of the Rings bad, but it's I want to get the fringes immediately, right? I want to be good at everything else around it, and that's what that helped me a whole lot.
Because I remember back in, so it must have been 20, because when did you go to the Schmodown? 21?
I had to be, because it had to be after. No, because I played during there was online virtual, so it was during COVID era. So it must be in 21. Yeah. You must be. Yeah.
So
I've added with years.
Before then, obviously, when you were on a team with Brian, I vividly remember you guys spinning DreamWorks, Bond, and you being the one to carry the team through those categories where you were studying those fringe categories and working on those fringe categories. And so that's why when I see you playing and you have a wheel and it's DreamWorks is on there and you're like, ooh, let's go horror. I'm like, why? what are you doing, Jacoby?
That's just so, because DreamWorks it gets so deep in terms of what it has, and for the amount of time that where I've studied to, there was that in that era of time, it's all the DreamWorks movies are really fresh. Am I going back and rewatching Madagascar 2 Escape to Africa? No, I'm rereading the 5 questions I wrote over it, and I remember the names for all those things. But
you used that category, because I remember I watched all your matches. You used that in your matches, and I was Fun fact, by the way, America's Asses is the second highest ranked team of all time, or not of all time, but retired team that never won the belts.
That's so good. That run that Brian and I did, I love that run that we did. I really loved, because again, Brian and I had so many gaps, but things ran away. There was the the match is one of my favorite matches. It was funny. You put the post out there about like, hey, favorite like fandom moments, and it's like for a moment I was just like, I want to put all the stuff I was in, but then I was also like, I don't want to be I don't like be that guy, that sort of thing. But I was literally thinking of that match with Brian against I just forget that Rizzy and Eli. The one where it's like if they just bet Schizo, if they just bet 1 point in any of like the 5 questions, they would have won, and they bet like none throughout, and we just slowly came back up. It was insane, and that was like one of the moments of just one of those matches, which is like, wow, it's like that stick with you after you're doing this for holy crap, like more than over 5 years, 6 years, 7 years now.
Crazy.
I don't even know.
But yeah, you were the MVP of this year's last one standing.
Totally derailed that. Yes.
Yeah, that is this show, my friend.
That is the point. We literally started the opening segment by talking about Nick's wands and stuff, and we ended by like.
Well, we started talking about bands we like, and then
that is what we started talking. You're right. I forgot about that.
And then it ended at
MCU
in the MCU. Yeah. But any early thoughts about how you're going to use that?
Ooh, I mean, again, the joy that I get.
And try not to spoil anything that's happened that we've shot so far.
First, I can talk in the realm of this one, but I can just talk about this overall in terms of like, going forward of what I want out of playing trivia, do I want laurels for myself, or do I want laurels as like a group with like friend? I hope I'm using the word laurels correctly. I might not be, but like, and so like the joy I get of winning individual matches or losing individual matches or anything is not as much as I get from either the joy or the hurt of losing with a team match. So I would say like it's just doing it with a friend, especially Rue, who I love that guy, and he's so great. So it's like anything that I most likely want to push would be us in any capacity where we'd want to go, because I enjoy teams. I think more than I take it more seriously than I do singles.
I get that.
And if it's a single, like if I'm trying to get, at any stage of whatever, if I'm up against to try to go to a singles champion, that's going to be a tougher fight, but we'll see.
Fair, but it'd be fun to say.
It would be fun. I'd like to get it. I like speed rounds, or not speed rounds, like filmography rounds. Those sort of things. I like those.
So if you and Rue win the belts back, then we'll see you in singles. And if you win that one on your own as well.
Yeah, that's just my goal, I guess. Maybe I never have to use this, and I can just win.
I dread that because we almost ran into that very problem last year. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, Robert's winning everything late in the game. What do we do?
We had a lot of backup plans.